Well, night after night, it feels like we're saying this is the worst loss of the Cardinals season yet. And tonight, the Cardinals had their biggest loss of the season yet, but it wasn't even the score of 7-5 to the Mets. It was losing Willson Contreras for who knows how long for a fractured forearm. Andrew and I are going to talk about the injury to the Cardinals' far and away best player this season, and if it's time to say the Cardinals season is over already on this emergency podcast episode of Dealing the Cards. Dude, Andrew, I mean, the second he got hit by JD Martinez, I was like, "This is really bad." I mean, initially, we didn't know exactly what the injury was, but there was no way there wasn't a break or a fracture. It's been since confirmed by team officials that Willson Contreras has fractured his left arm. We could talk about the actual injury and JD Martinez's side of it and all that stuff here. But I don't know what you do. The only comparison, I mean, I've only done quick digging, but Albert Pujols was given like a 4 to 6 week time frame to return from his fractured forearm back in 2011. Again, he was a first baseman, not a catcher, so I feel like that maybe makes a little bit of a difference here. And we don't know the extent of Contreras' fracture yet, so we'll keep up to date the press conferences and if we get any more information about that. But frankly, this team was already in a really bad spot anyway, so I don't really know if it matters if it's 12 weeks, 8 weeks, 6 weeks. Andrew, is the season over already?
I mean, the season is over unless Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado can turn it around and pick this offense up, right? Because if you were going to rely on Willson Contreras to be one of your top bats and now he's hurt and the rest of the offense has just been awful to start the year. Nolan Arenado, I think, is the only regular now with an OPS over 700, which is not playable, right? You come in to the season, the offense is supposed to be a strength. But like you look up and down this lineup, Mason Wynn got off to a really hot start, but he's completely he's had a really cold stretch and it's now below 700 OPS. It's kind of what we thought was coming in. Like, I don't fault him. He's not supposed to put this offense on his back. That's not his job. He's supposed to play incredible defense at shortstop and be a league average bat, which is what he's doing. That's fine. But the rest of this lineup, Lars Nootbaar, Nolan Gorman, Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, Brendan Donovan, none of them have performed the way that we've liked them to, right? And we've seen going into the season that Willson Contreras is kind of the only bright spot in this lineup. It's frustrating, and whether or not he's out for a month or 2 months or the rest of the season, it just doesn't look like this team can turn it around unless some major change happens from the other position players. And we saw what Paul Goldschmidt chased a slider, a sweeper, or whatever you want to call it, in the other batter's box, struck out with the runner in scoring position in the bottom.
I will say, not defending it, like the pitch before that, he crushed it foul.
Yeah,
off the bat. No, I'm not defending. I'm just
early on it.
Off the bat. I'm just like, it's like
Right.
the polarization there where I was like, oh my gosh, did Goldie maybe just break out? And then
wait, it wasn't even a sweeper. Apparently, it was a fastball, according to the. So, like, I mean, I don't know. That's not excusable, right? That's like Javier Baez would take that pitch like 90% of the time. Like, what are we doing? That's just a horrible, horrible look for this team, for someone who won the MVP award 2 years ago. And I understand that he's putting in the work every single day, but hitting is really hard. And even a tick or two down, like due to age, it could really, really hurt you. And it seems like it's just caught up with him. And that's really unfortunate that we're seeing this. And I'm not going to discredit what he's done in a Cardinals uniform. He's been great. But it just seems like whatever he had left in the tank isn't there anymore. And Nolan Arenado, he's been better. He's also like 3 years younger than Paul Goldschmidt. So that's a reason. But like, he's still shown a lot of like regression this year. Not hitting the ball for power, not pulling the balls like he used to. And he had that terrible pop out again with runners in scoring position. Cardinals missed a lot of chances to score tonight. And Willson Contreras contributed one of the really important runs in the first inning. But like, I don't know what you do without him at this point. He's essential to this lineup success. And now you're going to be playing with Herrera, who had, again, like Mason Wynn, Brendan Donovan, had a great start to the season and has completely trailed off. OPS in the 600s. And I don't know. It's really frustrating. But I really do think it's time to start wondering whether or not this team is doomed to have the same fate as last season. And it's for all the different reasons, right? The pitching has been fine, the bullpen has been fine, the defense has been fine, but for whatever reason, this team can't hit anymore. And if you had lost Willson Contreras last year, it would have been whatever, right? If you had last year's lineup and you lost Willson Contreras, it's fine, right? You'll survive. But the way that this team has been playing, I just can't see it turning around anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head with all that. I don't really know what else to add at this point. Um, at least on that side of things, like I still refuse to believe this lineup is going to be this bad all year. It just doesn't make sense to me. And I'm not trying to act like they're going to be a top 10 unit anymore, but to be the worst lineup in the National League just doesn't sit right with me. It doesn't make sense to me. There's too much talent on this team. But at this point, what do you do? I mean, you just lost far and away your best hitter. And I will give like the offense kind of rolled over, but kind of didn't. Like they had the same issue where they got runners in scoring position. They couldn't figure it out multiple times since the first inning of this game. Lars Newbar went deep. Alec Burleson went deep even after they went down 6-3. So, I mean, it's not like they didn't try to fight back. And I don't like when people say the team isn't trying and stuff. Like even when people say non-competitive at bats, it's either they're not even trying. Just because you have a non-competitive at bat doesn't mean you're like no one's Goldie and Arenado and Newbar and Gorman. They're not going up there being like, oh well. Like they're trying. Okay, so like let's stop with that.
Yeah,
It
they're
doesn't
not
mean
like
defend it.
they go out there, they give, unlike other players around the league, like they go out there, they take accountability when the press interviews them. They
Yeah.
speak English to the press, like
Oh
like
gosh.
unlike somebody, they take
Yeah.
accountability. They go out there, they work early. Like baseball is a priority for them, right?
Yeah. So
So
I
like
think that everyone
they're
should be
not just going
questioning
out
that.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, and same with Ollie Marmol. I mean, even like I've been on, especially lately, they should probably let go of Turner Ward, but it's not like Turner Ward isn't trying either. They're all trying, and I don't like when people say Mo's sitting on his hands and not trying either. Like they're not just sitting around being like, oh, who cares? We don't have to do anything. Like I mean, they might give that perception. I think honestly, that's one of the biggest flaws of especially the front office is that they kind of have come across as a little bit smug sometimes. Definitely come across like very tone deaf a lot of the time. But I mean, I think Brandon Kiley said one when he was today. He's right. Like baseball is a game of patience. So like in a lot of ways, when John Mozak, especially this year, last year was a different story. Last year, the pitching staff was just a mess, and like he was trying to convince you that Miles Mikolas was going to get better. He was trying to convince you that Jack Flaherty was just going to be 2019 Jack Flaherty again. He was trying to convince you that Jake Woodford, Dakota Hudson, Adam Wainwright were going to get it done, and Matthew Liberatore, and they were not going to get it done. This year, it's like you go and look, it's Nolan Gorman, it's Nolan Arenado, it's Paul Goldschmidt, it's Lars Nootbaar, it's Brendan Donovan. It's literally every hitter on a good offense outside of Willson Contreras isn't hitting. And I see some comments coming through right now that who cares that they give effort. I'm not defending and saying that they're trying so it doesn't matter. I'm just saying I don't like when people say they're not trying. That's just not fair. It's just not real. Just because you're trying doesn't mean you're not doing like this is about results. So at the end of the day, that's what matters most. So I'm not saying just because they're trying defends everything. But anyways, this is the part that is just baffling me is that I've said it for months, the whole season basically now, that I would be more concerned the pitching was blowing up because I don't know how to fix that. This is what they have, and if it wasn't performing, I couldn't convince you it was going to get better. But I'm starting to get like I thought it was the best case scenario that the offense was struggling because it's like at some point it's going to
Yeah,
figure
I
itself
don't.
out. But I'm at a loss. I have no idea what's happening, and maybe like small chance, maybe the Willson Contreras injury kind of lights a fire in them, and they're like, "Oh crap, we gotta like Contreras is down. We gotta figure this out." And maybe you started to see a little bit of that tonight with getting guys on base. New Bar hit a home run, Burleson hit a home run. I don't know. I'm not trying to convince you that. I'm just trying to say, like, maybe there are some ways that maybe this could happen. It's May 7th. It's not official. It's not actually over, but I'm at a place now. I'm writing it and it's gonna be posted tomorrow. And it's gonna be very anti what I've been saying all year. But I think the Contreras injury and the way they lost this game today, it's no longer hyperbole to say that this season might be over. I'm not ready to fully say that. I'm not gonna tell you it's over, but we have to start looking at it like it's potentially over. Um, and this will be a different for saying it's over. What?
No, I don't know. I just figured that was
Uh,
like, I don't know. Can we reverse
I
that
guess
clip?
I said it's not for sure over,
I don't
but
know.
so maybe it's because I gave the shadow of doubt that they could be in it still. And it's true. Like again, here's the frustrating thing. The offense literally tomorrow could turn it around. Or they could never turn it around. I don't know what to tell you. So we'll see. But what I do know is that if the season is off the rails, if they are falling apart, if they aren't going to win it, and they're going to sell at the deadline, it's going to be a very different deadline. They are going to actually sell, and not a full rebuild. They're not going to trade Nolan Gorman. They're not going to trade Jordan Walker or Lars Newbar. Oh, is it the Contreras
Yeah,
getting
well,
surgery tomorrow?
yeah.
Okay.
According to Jeff Jones, Willson Contreras might be getting surgery tomorrow, which I don't know. That makes it a lot worse, doesn't it?
Well, he was gonna have to get it with a fracture, so I'm glad that
Yeah.
it's happening as soon as
Alright.
possible. But yeah, it sucks. So
But
hopefully that speeds up the timeline. Hopefully we get some details on that soon. But I think like again, and people are gonna say fire Mo. They're not gonna fire Mo, but I guarantee I would be shocked if John Mozeliak stays with the club after the season if it's a failure again. And I'm not just saying that in terms of I'm shocked because I think he will step down or he'll step into a different role. I think it would for sure be time. Like you can't go into this next era of Cardinals baseball. 2025 should be his last year, even if they did win this year. He signed an extension. He's been here for 2 decades, basically. It's time to get a fresh voice in. It's time for Hein Bloom to take over. It's time for whoever to take over at the end of 2025. But if this season is truly going off the rails, if they're truly falling apart, it is time for John Mozeliak to step away. The DeWitts are not going to fire him. I don't know what that means for Oli Marmol. Um, I could see them sticking with him for a little bit because it's a rebuild and it's kind of a different situation. I could see them, honestly, if they really want to just like try to fix it right now and they want to go panic mode, I could see them doing the Yachty thing because if there was ever a time to try out Yachty, why not try him out on a trial basis in the middle of the year? Maybe they go for Skip Schumacher in the offseason. I don't know. But there will be legitimate changes this time. I would be shocked if there weren't. And then I think you see at the deadline, it's Paul Goldschmidt, it's Kyle Gibson, it's Lance Lynn. Andrew Kittredge probably gets you a little bit. But then you also look at Ryan Helsley. He's got 2 years left, or he's got this year and next year. Unless they're going to experiment with him as a starter, I think you definitely trade Ryan Helsley and get as much as you can for him. And you could get a haul for a reliever like that. You could put up, Steven Matz and Miles Mikolas are not going to get you anything, and no one's going to want them unless you eat all their money. So don't see that. You could explore Jojo Romero because, why not give up a reliever with control? If you're going to be rebuilding, it's not worth really having one. You could really sell high in Sonny Gray. I could see them doing it. I could also, Brendan Schaefer and I talked about this a few weeks ago on his podcast. You can go check that out on his channel. It's the one with the Hein Bloom guy or like image on it, but you could convince me that Sonny Gray should stay to help guide the young pitchers, and that if it is a retool, not a rebuild, and they're trying to win in maybe 2025, but probably 2026, then it's probably worth having a guy like that around. But you could also trade him at his peak value. There's no other starter who's going to be available better than Sonny Gray in the trade market. So you could get an actual haul. Like they got Thomas Ajacin and Takao Roby for Jordan Montgomery. Imagine what they can get for Sonny Gray. It'll be a lot. You could honestly maybe even trade Willson Contreras. I don't think they would do that. I think he would stick around. And then you probably end up getting rid of Nolan Arenado, whether it's at the trade deadline or the offseason. I doubt he wants to stay when the club's declining again. He's aging, and Paul Goldschmidt's going to be gone. Legitimate changes will be coming if this is over. I'm not going to plant my flag today and say it's for sure over, but I'm ready to have the conversation today that it potentially is over. And if you feel that way, okay. Like I'm not going to sit here and try to convince you anymore, because the only thing I can tell you is the pitching's been good enough. The bullpen has definitely been good enough. The defense hasn't been improved. And this offense is talented enough that any day now, even without Willson Contreras, they can turn it around. But I don't know anymore. I don't know. And there's little signs here and there that people are heating up, but like at the end of the day, they're not putting the runs across the board like they need to. I guess they scored 5 runs today and they hit 3 home runs. So like they have more power than Sandy has right now.
Oh, no.
Sandy's power's out in case you were wondering why he's not here. But also, if you're in the chat right now or you're watching this awesome turnout tonight, really appreciate it. If you could subscribe to the podcast, it's super helpful to us. Like it and share it as well. Helps get it out there. Let us know in the like maybe just type it's over or there's still time. Let us know what you're thinking. If you think it's over, let us know. If you think there's still time, let us know. If you're going that there's time, maybe that's your standing of like, hey, I'm still holding out even a little bit of hope. But if you
Holding
think it's for
rose
sure
water.
over, you're giving up, let us know in the chat that it's over.
Man.
So yeah, I mean, I just word vomited there, but what do you like? Let's just, I think tomorrow, if we end up going live, we're not for sure yet what we're going to do because of this one, but I think we're going to talk in more in depth about what this retool could look like. So I don't think we're going to go super in depth. I know I previewed some of that, so we'll give more takes about that and or whatever our next episode is, probably tomorrow night. But Andrew, like any lingering thoughts from that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just frustrated, right? Because Willson Contreras, I didn't really think about injuries because this season was already going so bad that I was like, there's no way it can get any worse, right? But no, it can. It can always get worse. I don't know. This is like the worst thing that probably could have happened, right? Because like,
Yeah.
Steven Matz is on the IL now. You have 3 legitimate starters, and 2 of them are
Which
Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson, who we
Which
made an
would have been
emergency episode of, and we were not happy when that happened. So that could fall apart really quickly.
yeah. Which would have been a bigger loss, this or losing Sonny Gray for like half the season?
I mean, we already lost Sonny Gray for a little bit. But
Yeah,
like,
but just 2 starts.
I think
It's probably
if
equal to
they,
me.
yeah. I mean, if they lost Sonny Gray, like if when he got hurt in spring training, if he had like hurt himself like more severely, do you think they signed Jordan Montgomery? I don't know.
Probably not. No, they probably don't do it. So, I
Yeah,
mean, it's frustrating,
right.
but that's just where they're at. So,
It's just what they do, I guess. Man.
also, like, okay, here we didn't really talk about the Contreras injury that much. Is this Contreras' fault? Is this JD Martinez's fault? Is this both? Does the coaching staff have anything to blame with it?
JD Martinez was not standing in the batter's box legally, according to the
Yeah,
rule.
and there's
And
a
he does
history
this.
of it.
Yeah.
Derek Goldwyn pulled it out that last year he had 2 catcher's interferences on William Contreras, which is kind of interesting last year. And they have images of him being behind the box and he just does it consistently. So that's a
That's not
problem.
legal, right? Like
Yeah.
they have to do something about that.
But at the same time, Willson did set up close and did reach out far. So I don't think Willson was like out. I think it was they both were bending the rules and it ended up hurting Contreras. Would probably be my stance
Right.
on it. So like I mean, they gotta discipline, like, not discipline. They gotta stop JD Martinez from doing that, but I don't know if you can discipline him. Also, like, I think it's interesting and worth looking at what this means for catchers catching like that. I think this is less about like the Cardinals coaching staff and the Cardinals front office being at fault. Like, there's a lot of people saying fire Mo, fire Ollie because of this, and it's like, okay,
I don't
there's
think
other
Mo has
reasons
anything
you
to
can
do with
say.
where Willson Contreras is sitting.
Yeah, because I mean, Contreras did work this offseason, some with the Cardinals, some with his brothers, some with catching coaches about his setup and all that. So this was intentional, getting closer to the plate to become a better framer, and it's worked. But this is part of the danger of it, and and also we're not saying don't fire anyone. We're just saying it's not the Willson Contreras injury. You fire someone. But it kind of seems like Willson got too close, and that's kind of on
Yeah,
him. But also it's on
that
JD
is, I
Martinez for
think.
going back. So
I mean,
I
it
don't
hit
know.
him in the arm. Like normally catcher's interference is the glove. I've never seen catcher's interference on the arm like that. So
Yeah,
that means
but
that he was definitely way too far out. Like if it
uh-huh.
hit him in the glove, that's fine. JD Martinez on first base and Contreras is fine, right? Like
Yeah,
that's happened before. So
but
I
I
feel
do
like the
think it's
fact that it
go
hit
ahead,
him
sorry.
on the arm is on him, right? Like he was way too far extended out,
Yeah,
and he came out too early, and that's a huge mistake, right? I
yeah,
mean, hey, maybe having some special advisors at spring training would have helped with that. But
oh boy, and
I
now
don't know.
everyone wants him as the manager. Okay, I'm just
Right?
kidding. I'm just kidding. But I do think there is an element though of this is like we have seen a spike around baseball this year of catchers interference calls. Remember, like Will Smith got it twice in the Dodger series. I think twice in the same game. There was another game this season that the Cardinals got a catcher's interference call. Um, I do think this is something that teams need to warn their catchers about. It's like if you're going to set up close, you got. I mean, A, look at the batter and make sure he's not standing out of the batter's box because that will be an issue, and B, make sure you're not leaning out too much because you can cheat a little bit, cheat a little bit, cheat a little bit. But if you have someone like it was kind of like a series of unfortunate events that came together. A bunch of things went wrong at the same time, causing that to happen. So, I mean, I don't know what you do. I don't think it stops catchers from doing that. I don't think will stop Willson Contreras from doing that going forward. Maybe it will just because of the shock factor. I don't think it's a problem that he sets up close, but he did set up too close that time. So, um, yeah, I mean, this sucks. I don't really know what else to say other than it sucks. If you guys have questions in the chat, let us know if there's anything else you're wondering with this. Andrew, you did make a good point, though. I think I've been of the opinion that even if Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado don't turn it around, they still have enough guys on the roster with Willson Contreras to make this happen. So, like, if it was Newbar, Donovan, Gorman, whoever, they're going to, like, they can become a league average offense again. But I do think it requires one of those two guys stepping up and being a legit stud again, or else this
I mean, I
lineup
want
is
to
just
talk
not
about the
good
lineup
enough.
really quick.
Okay.
Because Nolan Gorman has had one good year, right? And
Yes and
Lars
no.
Nootbaar has had one good year. Jordan Walker's had one good year. Like,
I would say Newbar has had two, like has had at least two,
well, like,
because actually I'd say 2.5 because the end of 2021. No, sorry, end of 2020. No, okay, so 1.5. End of 2022, Lars Newbar was on fire and ended up finishing as a 120 OPS guy, which is great. And then last year he was good. He just was hurt a decent amount. So also again, we have a really good turnout right now. So if you're watching, subscribe. It'd be really great. Like helps the channel out a ton. But yeah, sorry.
I mean, yeah, I understand that Jordan Walker debuted last year, but we've seen rookies have a good year and then just completely fall off. Like, remember, I see. I don't even remember who this was, but back in 2018, Shohei Ohtani beat out somebody for Rookie of the Year, like on the Yankees, and we just never heard from that guy again. And people are mad. I forgot who it was, but like rookies will have good years and then they can trail off. Like, I'm not saying that's what Jordan Walker is, but I think it's a little bit unfair to count on someone like that to be like an elite bat. And I'm guilty of that too. I thought Jordan Walker was going to be really good, but I also
it was Miguel Andahar.
Isn't he like on the A's now or something? Yeah, like I don't know. It's and Corbin Carroll won Rookie of the Year last year. He's been absolutely terrible this year. It's just it happens. Like it's unfortunate.
I don't like. Here's the thing. I think there's a lot of those guys on the roster. I'm not here today to give up on Nolan Gorman. I'm not here to give up on Lars Nootbaar. I mean, Lars Nootbaar, he's been hitting the ball hard. He's got a lot of good metrics underneath his stuff. He's just hitting it to the ground. And honestly, Lars Nootbaar and Jordan Walker are like the right-handed, left-handed versions of each other right now. They both are just hit the ball into the ground so much, and it's so annoying. But especially Jordan Walker, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna. Like Miguel Andahar was not one of the top prospects in all of baseball. He just kind of broke out and was really good as a rookie and then fell off. Jordan Walker has all the tools.
Corbin Carroll was, I think, the top prospect in all of baseball.
Yeah,
like,
but it's also
he was ranked higher than
but it's
Walker.
6
He's
weeks
been
of
horrible.
It's 6 weeks. And I know he did taper off a little bit in the end of the second half, but like again, it's 6 weeks. Like if in 2 years Corbin Carroll's bad, then like I will even a year from now.
I mean, he's been arguably worse than Jordan Walker, right? His OPS plus is 60 right now, and like
I think Jordan Walker's was like 40. But
let's see
again. But okay. Oh, here. Let me pull up the graphic. Let me pull up this graphic right now because I think it's like again, this is not a defense of the Cardinals hitting. This is just awareness for all of us. Hitting is down across the league right now.
Right.
And there are a lot of really good hitters that are having really bad seasons right now. Here is a list of players that made the all slump team, and a lot of them are hitting terribly. Randy Rosarina, he didn't even make this list, but he should have because he's the worst hitter in all baseball this year. Everyone who's freaking out about Randy not being a Cardinal. Ronald Acuna Jr. is slumping. Julio Rodriguez is slumping. Corbin Carroll slumping. Bo Bichette, Xander Bogaerts, Alex Bregman, Matt Olson, who was one of the top MVP candidates last year, and Acuna won it. Goldschmidt, Gabriel Marino. So there are a lot of players that are falling apart.
Yeah, I mean, Ohtani's 0 for his last one, so that's like just DFA him at
Yeah,
this
see,
point.
like Ohtani is sure,
He hit a
like
112-mile-an-hour line out, and I'm
yeah.
upset.
I think we do need to put into perspective though, like Jordan Walker is probably the one guy right now that you could potentially argue could be a real middle of the order bat. Nolan Gorman is too streaky for that. He's maybe like a 6 hitter on a really good team, 7 hitter on a really good team. He's got immense power. And again, at some point this year, he's going to start mashing for a stretch, but he also has these really cold stretches. He can't be your 3 hitter. Lars Nootbaar maybe could be, but I don't. He's probably more of a 1-2 or a bottom of the lineup, like on a really good lineup, not like a bottom of the lineup bad team guy, but he's more of a 6-7-5 guy. But then like Brendan Donovan's a leadoff hitter, so he's a really good leadoff hitter, so I think that's good. But then like Thomas and JC's not going to be a middle of the order bat, so I do think it's fair to be like, do the Cardinals have like a young star talent at the plate? I think they have a lot of young, really good bats, like above average, that could be all-star type players. But Jordan Walker's probably the only one that you truly give like legit star talent at the plate. But I'm none of those guys I'm going to sit here and say we should be worried about them long term, but I am worried about them this year.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I won't put my faith in this team until I see the results, right? Like, you can look at on paper how good this team is supposed to be all you want. They haven't been there, and they haven't performed. And it's been, it's May 7th, whatever, but it's been long enough that I think one of them should have broken out, and one of them did break out, and now he's gone. So that's great, right? So, but like one of the other, like 1 out of 9 batters in what your bold prediction, right? Top 5 lineup in all of baseball, which wasn't like something that I could definitely have seen coming into this season. But like, it can't be a top 5 lineup. It can't be like even a good lineup if all but one of your hitters is just below league average, right? Or like just not playing to the standard that we expect. And it's not going to work. And I'll believe it when I see it. If this team starts turning it around, then I'll buy back in pretty quickly, right? If we go on a Twins-like run, we win 12 in a row, which, I mean, it's not, I mean, it's been done before, but like, I don't know. I don't see a lot of fight in this team right now. It just doesn't seem like they're putting, especially with runners in scoring, it's just not, there's not an answer to that. And if that means heads need to start rolling soon, like, I hope we're back here tomorrow because someone lost their job, right? Because it's a results-based industry, and it's cruel. It's tough, right? Like, we like our sentimental value players, but Albert Pujols almost was forced to retire in 2022 before he exploded, right? It happens. Like, you'll have to part ways with people that you really like in the organization, and that's tough. But like, if the results aren't there, if you're not living up to expectations, that's just how it's got to be. So,
Yeah, we'll see. And I'm getting some comments right now wondering what's up with Yachty. I mean, the front office has been asked the question. He's not there. And that's really the only response they have. And he's spending time with family in Puerto Rico, and maybe a manager job would change his opinion. But I think this is kind of what you get with Yachty at this stage in his career. Is he's just not, I mean, for an advisor role to just help coach the catchers a little bit. I mean, they talked about having him be in the dugout for games, like not consistently, but that they wanted him to have access to that and be suit up on game day. And he hasn't done anything. So I think that just tells you where things are going. I don't think it's a problem with the Cardinals and Yachty. I think it's actually something that they've alluded to for a while, is I don't think they really trust him to follow through on his commitments. So far, he hasn't done it. So,
and Crawford has to go, right?
He made a good play tonight. But yes, he does have to go. He does. I'm just kidding. He did make a good play, but I'm not defending it. He needs to go.
One good play out of like how many misplays? Like, come on. Even Jordan Walker last year made a couple sliding catches. It's not like it's just he needs to go. Like, he didn't do anything tonight offensively. Why were we not pinch hitting Mason Wynn? Like, at that point, like, I don't know, whatever.
I don't know. I don't know. So I think I don't know. The back thing throws me off. So Yeah, I mean, they pinch ran him for Nolan Arenado, but it was the last out of the game, so, like, they were really I mean, they need to win, so I think they were ready to try and make it go. But yeah, I mean, some questions about why Wynn isn't playing. They've said he has a back issue, and so they're trying to manage it. So I think it's a real thing. I don't think if they're really trying to manage his back that we should complain that he's not playing every day. I do think Jose Fermin should be playing
I
over
have a
Brandon
question
Crawford,
though.
though. Yeah,
If Mason Wynn, like if they had tied it and gone to extra innings, Mason Wynn is in the game. There's no one left on the bench. You've wasted your whole bench, and
yeah.
you have Mason Wynn and Crawford in the game at the same point. Does Crawford play third base? That's horrifying.
Probably. Yeah, or
That's
Nolan Gorman moves over to third base and then Brandon Crawford goes to second base. So something like that would have happened. But I mean, like at that point, you've tied the game in the bottom of the ninth
right.
to 2 outs. I don't think any of us are really complaining.
Right.
And like you lost a player to injury tonight. So like, what do you do?
That's true.
But I also, yeah, anyways, back issues. Okay. It's like, I know the Cardinals have a lot of them. I don't get what the problem is, but yeah, I mean, we've kind of gone the gambit tonight. We'll let you know soon if we're planning going live tomorrow. I think either one of our next episodes is definitely going to be talking about what on earth are they going to do with it, the retool? Because we kind of touched on it in different ways, but we really didn't get into the weeds. And I think it's a really interesting conversation. Again, we have an awesome turnout tonight. We really appreciate the support. So if you're watching right now, please subscribe. It means a lot to us and helps the channel out a ton. Like, comment, all the things, share if you want. Also, we do have a membership program. If you go on the desktop version of YouTube on our channel and you click, if you've subscribed already and then click membership program, we have a Discord where we talk with our Discord members about baseball all the time. So it's way more in-depth conversations than what Twitter gives. So it's a lot more fun and nuanced. And so if you want some level-headed Cardinal conversation, join it as well.
6 to 8 weeks for Contreras. So
let's see. Hey Siri, what's 8 weeks from now? That would be July 2nd if he was out a full time. So middle-ish of June to early July would be Willson Contreras' time frame right now.
at
That
that
is
point, we might just be dead.
oh,
Could very well be over.
at that point you would know who they are. There's no like they're
Right.
either in it or they're selling. So by the time Willson Contreras backs, you're either basically gaining back an awesome bat to make a run, or he's back to a seller. So that sucks. I mean, the nice thing is to have Ivan Herrera. So like it's nice that you get to bring him in and then like I mean, he's not at Willson Contreras offensively, but he has been pretty good. So there's worse backup catchers. Alec Burleson's been good. So hopefully he gets more playing time, fills in a little bit there. And then you've got Jordan Walker coming back at some point too. Or maybe honestly, you can maybe see a Thomas Ajacci at some point. But I mean, he hasn't been like I mean, he's been up like his numbers just fluctuate a lot right now. And I would rather just be patient with him. But yeah, we'll see. So this is panic mode for sure. It's not. Here's what I would say. Brendan Schaefer said this the other day. I really liked it. It's not early, or it's not over, but it's not early anymore. And so I think you kind of gotta, at some point, they gotta start winning. And all he said in his press conference yesterday, I really liked. Like he was just like Jeff Jones kind of gave him like the out of like, hey, are there any moral victories in like some of the stuff? And he goes, I mean, you always like this stuff, but we have to go. He's like, we have to get going. And
I mean, you have to win tomorrow with Sonny Gray on the mound.
yeah,
You have 4 in Milwaukee. You at least need to split that series.
yeah.
Preferably take 3 of 4. Like that would indicate to me that you're actually back. Then you have 3 games in Anaheim against that team is just like so bad. Look at their lineup up and down. They don't have anybody on that team anymore.
Yeah.
You need to sweep that series too. Right? So we need to you need to start going now. There's not enough time to be like, oh, it's early. Like if you lose tomorrow, get swept by the Mets, and then like lose the series in Milwaukee, it's over at that point.
Well,
I don't think there's really much of a way to come back from that.
Again, I don't think it's over yet at that point because let's say they lose tomorrow, and let's even say the
At
Brewers
that point,
win
you're at
tomorrow.
least 8.5 games back of Milwaukee.
Yeah, but again, like 8.5, it's that. I mean, that's hard. I'm not gonna lie. It is a lot, but it's still early enough especially because I don't believe in Milwaukee. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't. I'm afraid the Cubs kind of because their pitching has just been really good
For
so
context,
far.
the Angels are 7.5 games back.
Yeah, but
Right.
also the AL
And they're
West is really
13 and
bad.
23. I know.
Look, well,
Like
who's the AL West? What's the
21
record
and
of the
16.
team?
Like, yeah,
So
I'm just saying, like, the Angels don't have a chance.
okay, but also part of that's the team they have. I'm not
Right.
trying to tell you that like it's gonna look good. I'm just saying that it's not like they were 10 games back at the beginning of this week. A year ago, they were 10 games back. So like I think it was a little bit worse. Am I lagging? It feels like I'm lagging.
No, you're good.
Okay. I think it's because I'm moving all these browsers right now trying to find what the wild card standings are. I don't know if you can see it.
We're like
Um
3.5 out, but we're like only ahead of the
oh,
Rockies and Marlins.
okay, but like that's meaningful. Like because last year
We
the
have to
wild
jump like
card,
7 teams.
yes, but again, when you're 3.5 back, that's very possible because it's also May. And last year, what did the Diamondbacks make it out as an 82 win team, 84 win team?
Yeah,
Like
something like that.
even if the Cubs or Brewers find a way to win 90 plus games, which I doubt the Brewers do, the Cubs might be able to. You potentially have okay, yeah, my image was lagging. I saw that too. You potentially have the ability to win a wild card this year, but I'm not banking on any of that. They're 8.5. I mean, if they lose, like you said, if they lose tomorrow and they lose a couple games in the Brewers series, I'm just saying I'm not going to definitively say right now if they lose tomorrow and they lose the Brewers series, it's like they're statistically out of it. I might
No,
say
well, yeah,
morally
like,
and
you
emotionally out
can
of it. But,
like,
like,
in
and
September
I'm not even saying, like,
2021.
there's a miracle that could happen. I'm saying, like, you can still see the way for them to get back because even at that point, they're only, like, 5.5 out of the
Right.
wild card. So, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I just think you might be able to draw conclusions if you just don't believe this team has it in them. But I think from, like, a legit like, a logical standpoint, it's still too early because somehow their pitching has carried them to the point where they have a not a good record, but not an abysmal record like they did last year. So, anyways, and also, like, I don't like when people are saying in here, like, you're settling like, okay, I am frustrated at how everything's going, but just because I'm saying it's possible for them to make the playoffs still doesn't mean I'm saying this is good. Like,
No,
I'm
it's
not
terrible.
saying, like, this is, like, that you should be happy about it. So I'm not raising the banner that you're only 6.5 games out of first place. It's just, like, that's the reality of it. So, whatever. They shouldn't be a team the Cardinals organization should not be fighting for 84 wins. They should be fighting to be one of the top teams in the National League. But this is where they are. And it sucks. And if they don't turn it around in the next few weeks, if they end up selling this year, John Mozeliak will be gone. There's a pretty good chance all Marl's gone. There's a really good chance a lot of players are traded. And this organization looks a lot different 365 days from now. So
Holding
not
Himes water.
last year. No one last year. I mean, fans might have wanted John Mozeliak out, but if you were like thinking logically or you're looking at the reporting, no one was thinking that. It was not going to happen. But you look at local reporters right now, you look at the people who are in the know. I have a strong Mo will be gone. He will step down. He will move into a different role. They're not going to fire him, but it will be gone. Things will actually change. So unless the DeWitts don't let it, so that's a bigger issue. But I think the Bloom era will start. So, but let's save that conversation for another time because I think it's worth having a really in-depth conversation and kind of going back and
We'll do
forth.
that later.
Again, really appreciate you guys joining today. Sucky day, Cardinal Nation. We're really excited to see. Well, I don't even know why I said that. I'm hopeful tomorrow's different. It's sunny gray bump day, so we'll see. But I don't know.
I would play the clip, but it's copyrighted music, so we won't do it.
It's You Are My Sunshine is copyrighted music.
I think so, there's like a famous
Shouldn't that
singer
be like public domain by now?
I don't know. I think there's like a famous singer in that clip. I don't know.
Oh, if you could find like an original, maybe I feel like it's public domain at this point, but who knows? Oh my gosh, someone said sell the team to a Saudi and Arabian investment fund. I mean,
We're a
every
year
other.
too late for that. We could have gotten
Yeah.
someone big. Too bad.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Hey, maybe he opts out after this ePay thing. Who knows?
He can't.
I'm just kidding. Anyways, okay. Thanks for joining tonight, guys. Again, subscribe if you're new. We really appreciate it. Like, and also if you could share with people you know, it's really helpful for the podcast. Again, like comments, we read them, we appreciate them. We take your feedback. So please let us know what you thought of this episode and what you're thinking of future content. Again, I'm excited to talk about what the future could look like if this ends up being a rebuild. Again, we're not saying for sure, or not a retool. We're not saying for sure that's what's going to happen, but there's a growing chance of that. we'll talk about that here soon. But yeah, until next time, thanks for joining us.